Hello, I'm REWA. I'm a visual artist from Nigeria, currently residing in Lagos. I call myself an Igbo vernacular artist. I mean, people can say I'm a contemporary artist, but that's how I choose to label myself. And the reason for that is I hail from the Igbo tribe of Nigeria, one of the 3 major tribes of the country. We have such a rich and beautiful heritage and culture. So for me, it was very important to highlight the ways of my people and our customs and our traditions. And so through my artwork, I want to truly put our culture on a global stage, through my own lens. And so that's been my mission statement ever since. And you can see that truly reflected in all the bodies of work that I create. My sort of influences were just not really seeing my culture represented in institutions or establishments. I never thought I was going to be an artist, but I think there was a divine calling, because when I started in 2016 with a body of work, the Pantheon, where I celebrated West African women deities, it just took off from there. And then obviously my biggest influence is my culture, it's my heritage. When I began by using watercolors. I was living and working in South Africa at the time, and I was doing my weekly shop at Woolworths, and I saw a box of watercolor pencils, which I'd never seen before. And so I bought them and I used them to create my first body of work called the Pantheon, where I celebrated West African women deities. I had a bit of control because it was, sort of coloring, and my style was very much the same, the sort of mosaic, the stained glass effect on the skin, but it wasn't as developed as it is today. And the colors were a lot more muted. Obviously, working with watercolors, you don't get that vibrancy that you would with acrylics. And it started small, A4 sized pieces of paper, because that's what I could control. And then over the years, I challenged myself. I decided I wanted my colors to pop a lot more. So I bought acrylic paints and I started experimenting with those and using sort of more vibrant inks, because the skin of my subjects, the outlines are all inked. I've really challenged myself with the scope and the scale of my work, and also the technique. The works have become a lot more intricate as time has gone on. Otu Odu is as powerful in Igbo land as Parliament is in Britain, where it's one of the 4 tenets of society. My paternal and maternal grandmothers are members. My paternal and maternal aunts are also members. For me, growing up, I would see photos of my grandmother and I thought she looked so regal, so majestic in her attire, but I didn't understand the significance of what she was wearing or what she was doing or the women that she was among. I didn't understand it, but I just thought she looked powerful. She looked incredible. Fast forward to now, my godmother, Auntie Cynthia, who's the mainstay of the entire exhibition. She's the person that I focused in on for the exhibition. She's a member also. And, just hearing her story about how she came to be a member of Otu Odu. Growing up in England, if I'd remained in England, what are the chances that I will then follow in the footsteps of my grandmother and my aunt and say I want to go back to Onitsha and become a member? And so I thought, what's the next best thing? And that is to tell their stories to women who are like me, who might be in the States or in India or wherever, women of African descent who are seeking that connection with their culture. And for me, I had such strong ties to the society, and I thought, I want to immortalize my grandmothers, I want to immortalize my aunts, and I want them for years to come, for people to look at them and listen to my Auntie Cynthia's story and say, wow, this is where these women are coming from. People need to learn about these women and know what they're about and know what bastions of society that they are. So this is my most ambitious body of work to date, but it's also the work that I'm most proud of because it features my family members. Odu is the tusk itself. Otu is society. So you put those together, you have the society of the women who are likened to be elephants, matriarchs in society. The elephant is a majestic creature. The words I've just described, they're powerful, they're wise, they're also quite gentle. And the matriarchs really, sort of lead, the herd. And so the women of Otu Odu are likened to elephants. So my grandmother, for example, her name is Omeke, and she who is like an elephant. And their titles, when they get given titles, it's always in some form linked back to a characteristic of the majestic creature that is the elephant. The tusks would represent their standing in society. the members. And in yesteryear, the younger members would only wear the bracelets. And then as you matured within the society, you would then move on to the anklets. And the larger your anklets, the more sort of entrenched you were, the more mature you were within the system. Nowadays, of course, endangered, the tusk is less used. They use replicas, perhaps resin or white cloth, just because it's very difficult to find the tusks these days. It just was emblematic of who these women were in society. And of course, not anybody could afford the tusks. Even today, I mean, hardly anybody could. It was just a symbol of status. Not everybody could just wake up and say, hey, I'm going to become a member and just be initiated. No, you had to be vetted, and you of course had to have the means to become a member. So it's very significant. Otu Odu will open at the Africa Center on the 8th of September, Sunday the 8th of September, which also happens to be my birthday. So the stars have aligned. It'll open for a month. It's the 60th year anniversary for the Africa Center in London. So I was honored that they would use this body of work to highlight their program as well. And then the exhibition moves on to the Museum of Contemporary and African Diaspora and Art, Mokada in New York, the following year, 2025, to mark their 25th year anniversary. And we're narrowing that down to a 3-month showcase of the works. And then I will hope that the exhibition comes back to the soil and it's able to be shown in Nigeria, because I think that it's good to export our culture, but it's also good for us to be reminded of the beauty of our culture at home too. This exhibition is important on so many levels, just even beyond the personal side of things, which I've just talked about. Just the size and the scope of the work, the amount of research I've had to do, the personal effort it's taken from me to put this exhibition on. I can't begin to tell you just how important this is for me on a personal level and to my career. And I hope that people looking at the pieces or watching the interviews really take that home, and I hope that they enjoy it and they learn something, because at the root of it all, I want to educate people on Otu Odu and who my people are. This Otu Odu exhibition, the body of work, it's a conduit for people, irrespective of skin color, of ethnic background, of geography, where you are in the world. The exhibition is a conduit. It's a passage for people to go home and for them to get home.